All right, I think we can slowly start. Thank you, team. I see we are quite a big crowd already, 60. So then I suggest to start so we have the wonderful hour that we designed. Hello, everyone. My name is Oana Popescu. I am a Strategic Communication and Stakeholder Engagement at EIC in the Business Acceleration Services team. And we gather today for a webinar on the EIC Corporate Partnership Programme, one of the first EIC Business Acceleration Services that we launched already back in 2017, so 7 years ago. A service that we made it available to our EIC community. In very short, the EIC Corporate Partnership Programme supports EIC-backed companies looking to scale by securing new customers and business partners. So far, more than 1,000 EIC-backed startups and scale-ups participated in this program, together with over 2,000 high-level representatives from more than 100 large corporations. But I will let this to Manuel, who will tell us a bit more about it in a second. In the next slide, yes, we structured the webinar in 3 parts. We will have an introduction and a practical presentation of the program for the first 15 minutes, followed by a discussion with EIC beneficiaries who previously participated in the program and a representative from 2 partner corporations for another 25 minutes. And finally, we will have time for a Q&A where you can unmute yourself, take the mic, raise the questions. You can also put the questions in the chat while we speak, and we will address them at the end. We invited 2 EIC beneficiaries as speakers, but I also encourage the EIC beneficiaries who participated previously in the program and who are in the audience today to use the time of the Q&A to also share their experiences, of course, if you wish so. Our goal, we really want you, EIC beneficiaries, to leave this webinar with a clear understanding of what we have designed in this program, what is the program about, find out some learnings from the EIC peers directly, but also hear from the corporates on the best approach to do business with them, so that you don't miss the opportunity to take part in the program, because we have quite a big agenda, and this will be the last slide of the presentation. Some webinar guidelines and rules. As you may see, the webinar is being recorded. This is only for internal purposes to make it available also to you, but because someone already asked in the chat, but also to beneficiaries who could not attend, who registered but could not attend. Please keep your mic on mute throughout the presentation, but unmute during the Q&A. You are encouraged to turn on the camera. We'll also have a family photo in a couple of seconds. Please avoid interrupting the speakers during the presentation, but as I said, you can use the chat to put remarks and raise questions. And all of them will be addressed during the Q&A at the end of the webinar for around 15-20 minutes. And for any technical issue, contact our support team via the chat. All right, with no further ado, I'll give now the floor to my colleague Manuel, who is Senior Strategy Advisor and Program Coordinator at the EIC Business Acceleration team. He will tell us a little bit about the rationale behind this EIC initiative and the Corporate Partnership Program. Manuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this info webinar for EIC Awardees on the relaunch of the European Innovation Council Corporate Partnership Programme. I've been checking the list of colleagues and participants, more than 100 registered, so it shows the interest. Many of you I already know from different activities that we have been participating and collaborating in the past, so thank you very much for your interest and your time. We're going to try to do this hour as efficient as possible and solve any potential doubt about this program, but also to receive, as I put in the chat, your feedback, idea, comments that, as usual, we will have very much into account. So thank you very much for being here with us. As I said, many among you already know the EIC about the business acceleration services, but I would like to do a first introduction, also what it was supposed to be done by Stefan Wacki, the head of the EIC. Unfortunately, last-minute activity prevented him to be at this moment. Probably he will join a little bit later, especially to check your questions and the panel that we have organized. But I will give this framework to have everyone in the same page about the purpose of this new program or renew program. No? Europe is and has been always been the home of many innovative startups and scale-ups. Yet, as you all know, we have limited success about the scaling up globally. Your companies are an example that this is possible, but that we have still room for improvement. Ursula von der Leyen highlighted recently again that Europe is a powerhouse in science, but while we are good in making science with money, we need to get better at making money out of science. And this specifically is the main role of the European Innovation Council. This is the objective that we have been and we are investing more than 10 billion in this period 2021-2027, and the Renew Commission that has been just presented, or the proposal just presented some days ago, has and will have the objective of increase the capacity and the role of the European Innovation Council with this target. So the public policy and funding at EU level have this key role to play. So it's to cater the specific needs of you, the European innovators, by refining and filling the gaps in the existing support schemes and provide you to support that covers each stage of the innovation change, from idea to the market and deployment to scale up, in close cooperation with relevant stakeholders and partners in the EU innovation ecosystem, like large corporations. And this is this program about. In this frame of these activities, the EIC support goes far beyond funding. All of you, all the 100 companies that have registered for this program have received EIC funding, but the EIC, even some of them equity, but the EIC funding is much more than that. The EIC support is much more than funding, because what we try is to provide the EIC top-tier innovators like you with access to a range of tailor-made high-level quality business acceleration services, what we call BAS, helping the scaling up and commercialization of your innovations. One of these services, and we will see later that there are many others that we would like you to know, but one of these services, the one that we are talking today about, is the EIC Corporate Partnership Programme, which focus on corporate venturing, a vital strategy for business acceleration and growth, based on the collaboration between established corporations and innovative startups and scale-ups. As Anna was saying, since 2017, this program has been organizing more than 70 corporate venturing activities with more than 100 corporations from 11 countries. And we want this to be reinforced in the next 2 years, and we will explain you how. The initiative in the last years and what we would like to create in the following have created a win-win situation for everyone involved. From the point of view of the innovative startups, the feedback that you have given us is that to partner with large established enterprises is a straightforward way of reach larger deals, accelerate market penetration, validate disruptive solutions, and tap faster into global distribution and marketing channels. At the same time, we know that from the large corporations, there's also a win, as they have and gain exclusive access to new ideas, products, and solutions that challenge existing business model or markets, help to overcome the complex business environment that they are facing when size is no longer sufficient to be successful over time, like it was years ago. This is not longer sufficient, and they need you to face this complex business environment. So it's a win-win. Corporate venturing is becoming a dominant trend among large companies, and we see this in the numbers. In recent years, the numbers of large corporations applying this strategy has increased by 42%, and the investment from corporates in startups has more than tripled in the last decade. And this is a trend that is growing year by year, month by month. So the issue is not anymore on collaborating with the startups, with the scale-ups or not, but how to do it in the most efficiently way. And for this reason, the EIC is interested in the corporate venturing. Still, we see that the specificities of the European market, where sometimes the fragmentation makes it difficult to get the most of the huge size of the market, large corporations and startups still find some gaps and difficult to leverage the full potential of the innovation. As our former EIC board member and a chairman of Siemens, Jim Snabe, was saying, the EIC has a privileged position and a unique model to facilitate this collaboration between large firms at the most innovative startups and scale-up in Europe for the benefits of all citizens, because we provide a platform with already companies like yours, the best companies in Europe, already invested, already past due diligence, that facilitate for large companies to focus on you and to offer you best deals to grow and to leverage the innovation in Europe. So this is the purpose of the program. With this info webinar, what we want is to share with you on this program that will extend the support for EIC awardees like you on corporate venturing. We will let you know how to apply, how to get the best of it, but we are also looking forward to learn from your experience and getting your feedback so we can continuously improve the service. On behalf of Stefan, on behalf of all the EIC Business Acceleration Services team, we would like to thank you again for your time and interest in this webinar. And I will give the floor now to Anna back to have a family photo, because of course communication is also good, and we will distribute this recording to the EIC beneficiaries that couldn't be here, that would like also to get the information. And don't hesitate, as I say, to comment on the information provided. Let us know your feedback. So good luck to all, and let's go, Anna, with the family photo.
Many thanks, Manuel. I saw that some new beneficiaries joined on the way during your presentation. Just to mention that now we have a moment for a family photo. So in case you want to be part of it, please turn on your camera. We will use this family photo for a social media post from the EIC side. And as Manuel highlighted, the recording is done only for the purpose of sharing it with you, EIC beneficiaries. Having said this, also I see Victoria join us. Thank you, Victoria. We'll discuss in a second. Madalena, you let us know when you take the picture.
Yeah.
We smile?
Yeah, like
Yes,
it is fun.
please, sorry.
Like
Smile. Thank you, perfect. One last one. Great.
Super. Thank you, Madalena. Actually, I will now give you the floor. Madalena is Investment Associate at Dealflow. Dealflow is one of our service providers, and most likely you will be in touch with her and with the team in case you decide to apply to the EIC Corporate Partnership Programme. Madalena, I think you can now share your slides and start the presentation.
Yes, wait, let me share. Okay, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Joanna. My name is Maddalena, and as mentioned, I'm here now to explain the application process and guide you through the workflow for each corporate day activity. So the first step, once a corporate day activities is launched, is to review the challenges launched by the corporate or the corporates in case of multi-corporate days. And please note that if your company aligns with the challenges presented, you will also receive personal invitation by email by our team, the EIC team. But however, as a reminder, you can always find all the open calls for application on the EIC community platform, on the newsletter, and also on the official social media accounts. So once you decide to apply, you can start your application process by registering to this event as shown in the screenshot, and you will then be redirected to the EIC dashboard. In the EIC dashboard, you will have to authenticate using your EU login. So if you experience any issue at this point, I just also want to remind to all the EIC beneficiaries to contact us. Normally the link to the help desk is available at the bottom of each open call on the community platform, and I can also share it by chat on this during this presentation. Moving into the next slide, here it's like a practical example on actually how an application looks like. It's a straightforward process, so there are some fields that are going to be pre-filled, such as your ID number, the website, etc. This is thanks to the EU login. And then there are other sections that are multiple choices, where you will select, for example, the specific challenges you're addressing, or the type of partnership you're looking for, which development stage are you in. And then also there are couple of questions that are more open-ended. We will ask you to explain your innovation and also how your innovation is addressing the corporate's needs, and also to explain a bit about your tractions. And finally, you will have to upload the pitch deck. So this is the application itself. And once you complete it, you can submit it. Then moving next, I'm happy to explain you a bit the workflow for each corporate day activity to give you a better idea of all the different steps, because the activities are more or less in a period of 4 months. Let's say it starts with the challenges and then with the application, which I just explained to you on the EIC event dashboards. And then once we have all the applicants, then the corporation will select the EIC awardees, and the criteria, it's really based on business interest and really potential of doing business opportunities with the company. So once the corporate selects the participants and we validate with those applicants whether they're going to join or not, we move forward into the next phase, which is the preparation phase, which normally lasts around 4 weeks, so 1 month. And during this preparation phase, each EIC awardees that have been selected and is going to participate will access our personalized supports, which include, for example, a group session with the corporate, one-to-one meetings with business experts, but also high-quality feedback on the pitch deck and on the business proposal. Then once everything is prepared and the companies are ready for the in-person activity, let's say we move into the fourth steps, which is the day of the activity. And during the day of activity, I would like to highlight the fact that companies can meet C-level representatives, pitch their opportunity and also engage in person one-on-one meetings with the business representatives from the corporate side. Last but not least, our team also assists the companies with any necessary follow-up, and we maintain also regular communication with the corporate after the event day to make sure that they advance with potential business agreements or provide feedback to each of the companies that selected and participated to the event. And we will also ask for like quality and impact surveys, so we gather all the insights and we have the necessary feedback to improve for next events. Then just finally on my side, I also would like to highlight to you and present to you our upcoming activities for which applications are still open. It's the EIC Corporate Day with Holcim on the 27th and 28th of November in Lyon, in France. And Holcim is the leader in sustainable building, as you might know. And here you have the solution listed. If your company address any of Holcim challenges, we encourage you to apply, not to miss the opportunity. And the reminder is that the application deadline is tomorrow. And that's it on my side. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. And so maybe we can discuss them during the Q&A together with the other questions. And I give the floor back to you, Oana, and
Yes.
I continue with the presentation on the next part.
Super, many thanks, Madalena. I also copy-pasted the link to the open call in case
Thank you.
Beneficiaries could not check the QR code. You can find all the information and the challenges shared by Holcim in the chat. All right, cool. So for the next 20 minutes, we'll have a discussion with EIC beneficiaries and representatives of corporations. We have today with us Carsten Corino. Carsten is founder and CEO of Sign Oyster System. The Hamburg company develops solar trackers. I think someone is on. Yes, perfect. Thank you. The Hamburg-based company develops solar trackers for the generation of electricity and heat, and is expert regarding lightweight PF modules for load-restricted roofs. Very technical. We also have together with us Samantha Jane Phillips. She's a co-founder and chief commercial officer at Dyna Electro, an award-winning Danish Power-to-X innovation firm. She's a professional engineer with a specialization in leadership and management, and she also brings more than 3 decades of international experience in the energy and natural resources sectors. We also have with us Victoria Hernandez Valcarez, board member of several organizations. This time she's wearing different hats. This time we present her as a EIC Council member of the EIC Scaling Club and also EIC jury member. And we also have with us Andre Convent, Innovation Director from PNG. He's also an entrepreneur, board member, and EIC jury member. I will give now the floor to Carsten. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you all. I would like if you can share a bit your experience with the EIC Corporate Partnership Programme. What's in it for you from the beneficiary perspective?
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Joanna. Yeah, let me focus maybe on a recent event which took place in mid-July in Lisbon with the Portuguese utility Galp. So in preparation of the pitch, we received some very good feedback from the coaches of EIC on the presentation from Deal Flow in order to prepare the activity day. During the event, I was really positively surprised by the very good atmosphere. So both Galp and EIC and the coaches were all very friendly and interested. And also the level of the companies, the EIC beneficiaries selected was really good, and it was technically interesting to hear all the presentations. Yeah, But of course, the most important is the outcome of the event. And yeah, here we were satisfied that we entered into really good discussions with GALP concerning pilot projects. And we are now in a very advanced stage for realizing 2 different pilot projects. We are in the process of being registered as their supplier. The size of these pilot projects is limited, but of course we hope that out of these pilot projects a permanent cooperation with GALP will emerge. And moreover, during the event, it was not limited to GALP as such. There was also contact with another very interesting corporate, EDP, and also contact to an investor. And yeah, discussions with EDP are continuing, and today we signed an NDA. And with the investor, we are in quarterly contacts. Yeah, so altogether, it was this event in July, a very positive experience, which I can highly recommend to all EIC beneficiaries. But of course, not all events can be as productive. So in the past, we also had one event with a utility from Eastern Europe, where ultimately there was no outcome of the discussions. And so, yeah, sometimes it works very well, sometimes not.
Thank you. I wrote down a few keywords. So you mentioned focused outcome, pilot project, NDA, maybe corporations that are not always ready to work with startups, because not all the corporations actually have an innovation department and they know how to work with startups or small companies. This is a very good point to be addressed in the upcoming minutes. What do you think are the expectations of the corporations? And then this maybe later can be validated or not by Victoria and Andre.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I assume they are looking for new products and services and partners which fit to their strategies. And in the GALP meeting, we tried very much to step into the shoes of the corporate and to think what could be interesting for them. So we looked what is their strategy concerning energy transition, and what are the activities where we could bring in our solar products. And so we identified one example that are the roofs of their gas service stations, which have load restrictions and where our light PV modules can fit very well and can bring them not only a big carbon dioxide saving, but also a very good economic profitability. And it seems the strategy of thinking what could be really interesting for them paid out.
Many thanks. So yeah,
And
I wrote new products, new services that fit to new strategies that contribute to their business and revenue strategy in the end. So it's more like a plugin. This of course comes with several challenges. So I would ask now Samantha if you can take the floor and mention if you had any particular challenges that you encounter when engaging with large corporations, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think that, yeah, so my name is Samantha. I'm one of the co-founders of Green Electro. We power to X technology, so we make green hydrogen from renewable power and water. And we are at what TRL level 5. So what I noticed as one of the EIC recipient corporate level. We're on the earlier side of, say, the product readiness. So we're looking for industrial partners to understand the investment horizon timeline on the deep tech side. So we were a little early for the gout, but so the challenges are for us is maybe call it a match in time of the readiness of both your technology and the, say, the corporate that you're dealing with. So the good bit is that so basically EU has, say, done a lot of due diligence and screening. So corporates can kind of come in and have, say, hand-selected innovation products. So that means you're already been high graded. So you're being elevated in that level. Now, the question was, what are the challenges? So I've been on both sides, a small startup and working for international. It's just the credibility that a small startup comes with. So how do we match our ability to deliver something when the corporates, broadly speaking, want something that is a finalized finished product? So that for us is a challenge, is matching where we are scale up wise and what they're looking to implement. So we found that a bit of that's always going to be a bit hit or miss. But when corporates are, say, pulling by inviting many innovation firms to their innovation day, they're actively looking in that space. So from our point of view, that was that maybe touch on the question.
Yes, I would ask you to keep the mic a bit closer because we hear you a bit interrupted. Okay. I was thinking because you mentioned product and technology readiness, and I think maybe this will lead to another discussion, and I think it's in the mind of some of the beneficiaries who maybe they are, I don't know, afraid that maybe the corporations will like to acquire them or buy them, and they're not ready to do that, and so on. Okay. And I was thinking that at your company, the Electro, you already raised quite a huge fund. Yeah. So how do you see this corporate partnership influencing your future strategy in terms of product development and the market access?
Yeah. And that, it's actually, that touches on a very good point. And how one protects your technology is relevant to all of us. And we are patent protected in our case. But how do you protect yourselves from that? When you're coming to these corporate days, they're already in what I would call a collaborative state. They are. And certainly within Europe, you're looking at really the risk of a large European corporate stealing your technology is actually very low. Honestly, the whole premise of the corporate days is to bring things to market. They just want access to the technology. So, just take Galp for an example. They don't want to develop our technology. They just want our technology to be available on the market so it can be used. So there has to be a high degree of trust, and that is something that at least is very strong within the EU framework and context, but that's always going to be a risk. And that's something that every organization has to protect themselves on, and what is their unique bit and how do they maintain it. But the corporates aren't looking to have their own different business development lines. They're just looking to have a fast track access to that technology.
Super. Very, very valuable. Thank you, Samantha. I'll give now the floor to Victoria. Victoria, are you with us? If you can unmute yourself, because I don't see you, but maybe you are with.
Hello.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you, Victoria. Related to the last comments of Samantha, I was thinking, what would be your advice to EIC beneficiaries considering applying to this program? especially when they have this first corporate engagement, and we already have experienced the EIC beneficiaries with us. So we heard the beneficiary side. What would be from the corporate side?
Yeah, I heard what Samantha and Dr. Karsten as well said, and very interesting comments. Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here and for inviting me to share my views with you. I will start by Samantha's comments on the question how to match, how for a small startup to match with a big corporation. I think this is one of the key first questions, to ask. I'm very wise one. The first thing I would say is that there is a preparatory work to do. All of you have small companies with a limited number of resources that are dear and very scarce and need to be used in the most effective way. So it is clear that wherever you are putting your resources have to be the best place and to obtain the best return. Okay, so you cannot waste your time, or if you put all your efforts, you have to give yourself the best chances, to win. There are two things over there that I will recommend you. Don't forget the everyday life. I always say this is the small contracts who pay your bills, your invoice, and the salaries. And there is a big contract, that is going to help you scale, do a big jump, scaling up. Okay, but this scale up, of course, is bringing risk, meaning that dealing with a corporate, this means that you are going to deal with a giant, as opposed to you. Wherever you have one person to deal with the corporation, they will have 20, 30, with exigence. The time response will not be the same. Maybe you will need to repeat many times the same thing. So this is where preparatory work come into place, and as well the EIC. The first thing is that the EIC, that when dealing with a corporation, it might take you 6 months just to understand to who is the right person to talk, who has to be your first point of contact. Okay, this is where the EIC, and not always you're going to be successful. Okay, this is where the EIC is going to be of great help, because they can point you straight on to the right person to talk. And hey, from your sales cycle, you will have saved 6 months already, which, hey, in terms of sales cycle, is quite huge for small companies like you that need to bring revenues, for your investors and for the company as quick as possible. The other thing you need to know, to understand, is that you are not alone in knocking on the door. Despite the fact that you are talking to the right person, there might be many other companies trying to talk to the same people and to the same corporation. You might think that your product, your service is unique. Unlikely it is, because you are an EIC beneficiary. And if you got, the word of being an EIC beneficiary is because you have a real uniqueness. But now this is where it comes on how to put it in front of a corporation. Try to understand what the corporation strategy is. Look at, for example, their annual reports. These are published on the net, to try to understand which might be their key topics, and there where your uniqueness can be adapted. Try to speak the business language. I've seen many, so most of you or all of you are coming from the deep tech innovation, which is great. But I've seen many of you, in the EIC hearings, at the accelerator, or whenever I see you pitching, or even in meetings, taking a long time explaining how your product or your innovation works. Well, let me tell you something. A corporation needs to understand what is it for, which kind of use, benefits, impact in their P&L, organization, innovative advantage, competitiveness is going to bring. So you need to do this first step for them if you want to, come on the top of the peak and say, hey, these guys are talking my language. They know my business, first of all. And second, they are already having some ideas on how to use it and how can be of benefit for my organization, for my business, for my clients, etc. Okay, so this is the advice that I would strongly give to you. And think about that you will be dealing with many professionals in the corporation. You will be addressing different audience. So you might start by the Chief Innovation Officer, maybe by Andre Combens, okay, who is in the call right now, a good friend, by the way. But hey, you might explain the technicalities, but when you are going to talk to the Chief Marketing Officer, the Sales Marketing Officer, you will need to talk about market, about sales. And if you're talking to the CEO, as we have Dr. Karsten here in the call, maybe the first thing you will need to tell is, okay, how is this going to impact in your P&L, in the bottom line or the top line? And afterwards, I will tell you how. Okay, so think about in the audience that you, a different audience that you are going to deal with, which is going to be very useful afterwards when you will talk to smaller companies. Okay. So this would be my advice in terms of how to deal with a corporation. The other thing is to take the commitment as well from different areas. If you identify, okay, this product is going to be great for the marketing, okay, meaning I'm an artificial intelligence system, and I will bring this much engagement or increase the engagement in your of your customers. Something else that you need to do, I advise you to do, is to try to put a business case with the team, with the marketing team. This should be a joint work of both teams, from the corporation and yourselves, and establish the business benefits and advantages that your innovation is going to bring. And there you will put forward your uniqueness. And it doesn't matter how small, or big you are, because the corporation, you will have been talking the same language, a language that is put you on the top of the pile and make you win. For both of you, it has to be a win-win deal. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. I wrote so much. I hope the beneficiaries did as well. I will pass now the floor to Andre, maybe to build on what Victoria already said, or to say a little bit about what are the expectations of the corporation from the P&G side. And actually, we already organized one corporate day and one multi-corporate day with P&G, and we are planning the third one. So maybe you can also elaborate a little bit about it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. It's very difficult to come after this beautiful panel with really great points, and not sure I can add much more. And I loved Karsten's and Samantha's specifics really on how to work with corporates. But maybe I'll do a few points. Maybe the first one is what Victoria mentioned at the end also, is that everybody wants to grow. Large corporates want to grow as much as startups. And so the point is, how do you convince the corporates with your business proposition to make them grow, in addition on how you would like to grow? Because most of you, maybe all, have actually corporates or government bodies as customers. So nobody can grow on their own. You have to collaborate in today's work. And the EIC program is really unique, especially these corporate days, because you can go directly and talking to the people who are actually working on your subject matter, which is typically not the case. If you try to go corporate, you talk with procurement or even, I would say, higher executives, but they bring it down and so on. So you get direct access to the few people in these complex organizations who know your subject matter and also can provide you with learnings on how they see the market, which is they have typically a global view. And they can then support what we as executives think is the future and also work with procurement. So this is unique with the EIC days. Otherwise, it's fairly difficult to get access to in this complex organization. So that's really a plus. Now, what are corporates really looking for in grand scheme of things? Typically, we're looking at new technologies, business models, or markets which are not proven and which are still high risk, but have high interest. And this is still where high value needs to be created. And this is exactly where you as startups are so excited about, because you want to create a disproportionate more value. And that's what your investors are asking. And so having that as an opportunity and finding the collaboration to grow together, is that what corporates are after? Now that's the content, but in addition, what is also important for most corporates is to think already one step ahead. Because if you do a pilot, and Carstens, you mentioned a beautiful example on how setting up the pilot, and it's great that you mentioned also the complexity of setting you up as a supplier. That's one of the typical things which seems simple, but indeed, being a supplier with a project, it's like a whole process for most corporates. And the EIC helps actually smoothing that. But the thinking also is the step next, because if the pilot is successful, what corporates would like is great teams. Great teams who then think the next step. Well, because the next step could be a co-development, could be continued venture client, could be equity and so on, but typically the first two are 90% of the deals. And so what corporates want is say, hey, do you have a great team with unique experts which can go along the way, that you grow together with the corporate? And so that's also now an important aspect to convince in these discussions the quality of your team. And I think these were mainly the three points I wanted to highlight, in addition to all the great points that have been made earlier. So that's I'm happy to continue to talk about the multi-corporate example, but maybe we can do that later if there is no questions. And we're very excited about the one next year. And we're also into talks with Manuel. We might do something with Living Tomorrow, Tomorrowland.
This is a way to bring beneficiaries to Belgium and attend both our corporate day and Tomorrowland. We have 10 minutes left, so I suggest maybe now to stop sharing the screen, open the discussion. I saw there were some questions raised in the chat. Thank you, Manuel, for addressing them already. The stats are in the slides, so we will share the slides as well together with the recorded webinar, so you can double check it there. I would start with a question to all our speakers: is what EIC could do better to support corporate venturing? If you can say in one sentence, whoever wants to take the floor.
Maybe I have a quick policy idea. And so, yeah, as mentioned earlier, I think EIC is a golden nugget in Europe, and I'm really very happy that the new commission in their brief is highlighting that the EIC needs to be boosted. So that's a great point. But the other thing would be very, very interesting if there could be an incentives, like from the Innovation Fund or from Horizon, which puts the startups ahead versus the global competition of other startups, for instance, from the US, by actually providing financing, not to the corporates, but to the startups, if they have a pilot contract with the corporate. Because this might getting some of the startups in Europe a step ahead versus the startups that we're looking at. So we're looking global, we look at Asia, Europe, and the US. And as you know, there's always many different startups doing similar things. So the ones that are going ahead are superior team, superior technology, and a great way to collaborate versus others. But that could be a nice little instrument within the EIC, which could step it up a bit further.
I think that I would suggest something else that I have suggested already to the EIC, is to think about the working capital requirements, in particular for companies that need to manufacture products. It's not the same thing if you sell just services or software. Then basically you have to manufacture equipment. Many companies, I've seen some companies raising capital just to fulfill their working capital needs, which is not the right destination for a capital increase, okay, a capital rise or funding rise, okay. So this will be something that I think the EIC could be doing to help, you know, the fast growth of such companies. I know, well, I'm not talking on behalf of anybody, but in general, that banks are not very, not all the times very friendly, you know, with the small companies, you know, for providing loans, factoring, in particular when you are you're small and you're highly innovative.
Thank you, Andrea and Victoria. Both Manuel and I took note. I see there is a question raised by Thomas in the chat. What to do if corporations are happy to do pilots but for free, and even do not want to talk about business realities for long, only product system tests. Startups do not have resources for such dragging.
I guess it's directed to corporate, the question. It's a very good point. And that's the education we want to give, thanks to EIC also on corporates. Personally, I don't like free pilots. There needs to be some skin in the game. Now, free, it might be that, I'm giving an example, right? If you have a new technology and the corporates say, yeah, I want to pilot that in one of my production plants, the corporate might have to invest a lot to do that, both in people and financing to really get that in this production plant. So that the investment from a pilot, like the Carsten, you mentioned that the amount of the pilot was not that high. Fine, so it could be just an incentive to do it. But sometimes it's not clear that the investment behind by the corporate might be large from an effort to get your pilot going to the next phase, right? So that's on. But it's indeed, to me, I think it's important that at least there is an opportunity to cover the cost or to have a further incentive. And that's why I shared the idea that some of the existing Horizon programs could have something embedded in there, which is only for startups. If they collaborate with corporates, then the funding goes to the startup. So that could further incentivize us. And then the corporates need to match either in kind or in cash or so on to make this pilot successful. Because as Victoria said, if you're in digital, the initial investment is not a lot. But if you're in some other areas where you have to build factories or build pilot plants, that's some serious capital to go in.
I would add to what Andre was saying in a very short manner. You need to decide if you are in the commercial business or in the philanthropy business. Okay, if you are in the commercial business, you need clients, and clients pay. So you need paying contracts. And this goes back again to what Samantha were asking or commenting before about risk. I mean, if the client really is thrilled about the product, about your service, about your innovation, they will have to share the risk with you. Or this is tourism. Sorry to put it very, very straightforward. Now, if you are philanthropes, well, it's a completely different subject.
No, sorry at all, Victoria. So thank you for bringing it. Thank you, Thomas, for the question, because it's one of the points that were there when we created the program. No, we were hearing from the EIC beneficiaries at the time that it was difficult to access corporations, and of course the situation it was not even between them. No, the corporations were there in the capacity to discuss. What we are trying from the EIC is to use the leverage of the European Commission to filter the best corporation for you, the ones that fulfill the 3 principles of SMEs. I put it there in the chat, the declaration of intent that every corporation working with us has to fulfill, where there are 3 SME-friendly principles about how a response time, designated ownership, transparency, and feedback, because what we don't want at all is that they make you lose time. So when you are going to corporate day, you have been pre-selected by the corporate. We know that this corporate has a commitment to follow this principle that is going to give you immediate feedback, that they have experience working with SMEs, with the startups, that they have a business track on doing business and doing deals with the startups. So it's not a newcomer using this for a commercial purpose or for making you lose time. No? So this is at least what we can offer and what we are offering with this program. So when you apply, you have at least the security that this corporation means business and that we are gonna chase them to fulfill this agreement as we do and we are doing. So indeed, if we can follow up, as Andre was saying, with different programs, of course, we take note and we will like. And as Victoria was saying, this is about business. So it's true that nobody better than you knows how to do the business, how to defend your company, but for sure we'll have and this is the novelty for this extension of the programs, we will have for those companies that are selected by the corporation and they are follow-up specific support to sign the deal and to go into a contract with support from our side, from an experienced expert that is going to give templates and advice on how to do in the best way. So we will try not only to do the matching and to reach to this first connection, but also follow up for these companies that have the opportunity to sign a deal with a corporation.
Yeah, maybe
Many
quick
thanks.
build. Quick build and always assume, I can say that going from corporate is always assume that working with a corporate would be more work than you think. Because you as a startup, you're much more nimble and easy. A corporate has all kind of barriers and questions, a bit like the commission, and there's always more to fill in. And it's like Karsten's example. So I recently there's a brilliant company we're working with in Gen AI. So they're well funded and they're in the YQ incubator. And they say, "Oh, I have my platform. Please try it for free. You can start to use it for free." But even there, we said, no, we want to have a transaction because, as you mentioned, Karsten, all the steps to go to the procurement, then you get these emails, you have to answer all these questions with the attachment and so on. And that's weeks and extra work, which you normally not have to do. So always assume that there's extra work if you put that part of your pricing.
Thank you all. We are running a bit out of time. We'll take 5, maximum 10 more minutes because the discussion is very good. And I think, Andre, the transition is very good to the next question that I have. Let's say we take 3 more questions, and one is from Vincent, and it was also related to what Karsten mentioned earlier. And I also had it in mind, what's the best agreement a startup or a small company can have with a corporation? And Vincent also asked, why do corporates shy away from an offtake agreement? And if there is any way to find a balanced commitment for products currently only at TRL level 5 or 6. I think it's a question, yes, for Andre.
Lots of questions. So well, first, why we're doing, that's what I explained earlier. We need to innovate at an unprecedented pace. We need to grow our business. We know that we can only innovate by working across the value chain, but especially with startups for the reasons mentioned earlier. But indeed, the TRL 4 to 6, that is a critical one. And that's why for many, so we did a lot of collaborations with many different beneficiaries over the last several years in different shapes or form. But at that TRL, and that's exactly going to the proposal I had, in Europe, there's a unique opportunity, a great opportunity to actually mature that in Horizon projects or any type of funded research projects to bring you from TRL to TR9. And the TRL 4 to 9 is a kind of way to date with the corporates. And there's beautiful example because there's one thing which is very important, and stop me if I continue to babble, but in many cases, your startups creating disruption in your value chain. So if we are one company, we work with a big company, chemical company together, and to do a transition, the chemical company, the risk is too high because we as a customer, we might not be interested, and for us it's too high because the supplier is not interested. So that's why multi-corporates and this type of funded collaboration programs, you can get both in the program. And so that means that you can de-risk both the value chain, and then you create a solution for both, so that the supplier will actually could be your direct customer to supply the product to us, or vice versa. I mean, there's many different examples. So to quickly answer TRL 4 to 6, get one of these wonderful European programs, get your key customers in there, and if it gets granted, it's basically a great way, a very cost-effective way to increase your valuation from day one if you have that funding, and 2, do a pilot towards market position, and you have 2 to 3 years to date with these corporates.
Many thanks. I hope this answers one question. There is one more question regarding the decision making behind the letter of intent from corporations, and if startups can do something to accelerate the process. This is one of the question posted in the chat.
Oh, that is difficult, otherwise.
Yes.
I was gonna say I'd like to share one of my favorite quotes. Some things just take time. And it's like it takes 9 months for a woman to have a baby. You can't shorten that time by getting 9 women pregnant and then you have a 1-month process. These things just take time. And it's just like, why are startups nimble? Because you have few people and you don't have rigorous processes. And it's just, you can't compare the two.
This is an excellent, an excellent
I couldn't help but jump in.
I will take note,
Thank
Samantha.
you. Yeah.
However, even if it's your first pilot, there are some things, some hints that you can do, is to establish very well the duration of the pilot in time. Okay, I've seen LOIs which are, you open the pilot and no clarity on when this will end, with endless modifications being requested. Okay, so delimit very well which is the beginning and the end, and the KPIs for success. How both of you put an agreement on how success is going to be measured with very specific KPIs. And if these KPIs are fulfilled, are successful, what's next? And this is when the commitment comes. Okay, it's contractual, so I'm part of the negotiation.
Thank you. I will take really the last comment from Eric. Eric, I don't know if you want to unmute yourself. I can read your comment in the chat. So from your experience, open innovation teams in large corporations are often disconnected from the operational teams. Sometimes it takes time to get access to the operational staff with whom we can truly conduct business. What's your opinion on this? My direct opinion is that that's why we are here. We have the team of Dealflow to really create this matchmaking directly with the person responsible in the corporation. All right, Manu.
Can I add?
Yeah.
Can I
Yes,
add a
please.
quick sentence to that? At the end of the day, startups are small and nimble, and they're, how'd you say, we all have worked with other small companies, and when you're matched in size, there's a certain balance that's there. There's a certain imbalance when you're working with, a large giant corporate, and it's kind of like a high risk, high reward. And yes, you're going to have to do the extra work, But the flip side is when it works, it can work and have a profound impact. So it's just, how do you say, it is a path to an already established market, and they've done their work and you want to join their path. So that's my 2 cents.
Many thanks, Samantha. Manuel,
Thank
do
you, Samantha.
have,
Yes,
yeah.
this question also from Eric. Indeed, we usually use the open innovation departments. Why? Because the open innovation department has a broad view of the company. It's true that sometimes they are disconnected from one or the other, but they can allow us a window of opportunity inside huge corporations. So we go to Siemens. It's 10 times the size of the European Commission, so you can get lost there. So open innovations have the capacity to understand what we want, to understand how startups and scale-ups work, and sometimes put us in contact, and let me do a little bit of cross-selling for the bus acceleration services, to put us in contact not only with the business operational team, but also with the CVC. There was a question about it. If a corporation want to invest, a co-invest with some of you that have already equity, is a great opportunity also. Also with procurement, because we have also a program in procurement facilitating that large corporations use the procurement branch that is huge to not only have tenders open, but also focus innovative solutions that you can provide to them. So it's a window of opportunity for many activities that still are not fully developed with corporations in Europe when we compare with the United States or with other markets that are more developed about how corporations do business with startups and scale-ups. So this is our view, and so how has been quite efficient to work with them. And
many thanks.
also,
Yeah.
Just to comment on this slide that was previously.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to
So
ask
the idea
you.
is that we're going to have 31 activities in the next 18 months. So we try to cover all the topics. And as you know, there are many topics in the EIC. So we are at the same time filtering the corporations so they fulfill with our criteria for large corporations with the friendly activity that they have, really like Andre, understanding of what you are looking for, and like Victoria, that understand what is behind and how to facilitate this work. So we do all this work to filter and bring corporations like the ones that you see in the list. They are still days to be confirmed, but this is the ones that you can spend for the next month. And as I said, there will be much more. How we organize it, usually with individual, what we call corporate days. That is not a day. It's a process, an acceleration process of minimum 4 months that prepare yourself with a specific feedback on how to do business with GALP specifically, not with corporates, but with the help of the specific corporations. We have multi-corporate days like the one that Andre is going to co-organize with us with Procter & Gamble, bringing what we call corporate squads, group of corporations that have a specific purpose that is shared. For example, in sustainability, in packaging, and they work together to find the best solutions. And then we will also, with the support of Victoria, to work in one and a specific approach that is the corporate clients capitalization. That means to use the corporation to access not the corporation itself, but the clients of the corporation, so that the corporate is an intermediary between your innovation solution and the clients of the corporation. This will be the 3 lines of work, and for following that, we have, as Anna was saying, the newsletter. We have the EIC community with all information is there, but also I recommend you to follow LinkedIn, to follow Twitter, where we upload to avoid spamming you with emails, although we also will receive, you will be receiving emails. And on top of that, we have Deal Flow and Hello Tomorrow that provided you there in the chat, the email to contact directly and have immediate response about any potential interest you may have.
Many thanks, Manuel. I was just copy-pasting the link to the subscription form to our EIC Business Acceleration Service newsletter. I will leave it in the chat so you can subscribe. We really put all the open calls, not only from the corporate program, but also from the procurement, e-pitching, women leadership program, and so on. So all the business acceleration services. The next newsletter is going to be out on Tuesday, 1st of October. So subscribe to stay updated. I would like to say a big thank you to Carsten, Samantha, Victoria, Andre for the good discussion, but also for all the beneficiaries who attended, and some of you raised the questions in the chat and share with us your comments, your opinions. As we already mentioned, we will share the slides and the recording with you, and we hope you're going to follow us, and don't hesitate to write to us directly. I will also leave my LinkedIn here. You can write to me, to Manuel, to the colleagues anytime in case you have questions how to apply when we have the next open call and so on. Having said this, a big thank you, and I wish you a nice afternoon.
Thank you. Great session.
Take care all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.